So here we are, round table, Annalisa and David. So we have a first question about humanity. Does it mean that mobility should be more sensitive, sensory interface with the sound design, new smart technology, materials, new materials used? What do you think about mobilities in the future? And what do you think about the urgency of taking the measures? I'll start with David, maybe, about your vision.
Yeah. Do you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, good. So now I have the, the earpiece. Okay. So yes, for sure. I think I hope that in the future, and I think we are on this way, sensing is very key. And I think we are moving out to this screen interaction, which is artificial and it's not natural at all, to move to something where we can behave and we can, in a natural way, interact with the technology through technology to interact with people without to have this discrete, approach of the technology. So I think it's very sophisticated the way we interact together, and I think it's through different, sophisticated and fine body language and all of that. So I think the sensors, and thanks to machine learning, we can interpret how people behave, and then we can provide the services accordingly. I believe also that technology shouldn't behave as a human, but more as something which is living but not human. I think we don't, from ethical reason, we shouldn't make, like the comparison. We shouldn't grow robots as human, for sure not. But we need to grow something which is more sensitive. We manage to do it with shaping forms, materials, and all of that in a very poetic and sensitive way. I believe that we will have more mature approach in terms of design to shape also such a technology in a to provide some natural interaction and still remains in the area of artificial, but still sensitive.
Annalisa, do you think that, of course, human should be at the heart of the development of the mobility in the future? Do you think the project, the UPTIS concept, is mature enough, or do we have to push forward?
Actually, the human is one of the three domains included in the all sustainable vision of the group. For just to let you know, the all sustainable includes three main domains. So you have the people, the planet, and the profit. The people and the three elements really need to be balanced. You cannot have one more important than the other. Otherwise, everything for this balance we can be sustainable. So people is really one of the main core interests in this sustainable challenge of the future. And in this case, UPTIS is a concrete proof that we are going to this direction because of the safety of the people. So they cannot have any more annoyed about something so, very, very painful experience, like a blowout or a loss of control of the car.
Thank you. David, do you think that it's the... Oh, so, yeah, of course.
Just one thing. I think we can't dissociate human and society. Why? It's because we are designing for human as an individual, but we are not designing for society, meaning how to address a service, a function for a common goal, a common, a common goal for common benefits, instead of designing for an individual. This makes a big difference. But this is why we have the crisis today in terms of society, that people don't believe anymore on consumerism. I think it was not an issue when we were like 3 billion on Earth when my company started, 9 years ago. But now we are moving into a population that will rise 9 million by 2050. So you can't. So it's not like 3 billion people you have to design for, but it's for 9 billion. So I think this difference between people who can access to this kind of technology and the ones that can't is going to be bigger and bigger. So I think designing for community is better than designing for human as for a piece of ergonomic, functional features, or to address like the need of one person as a personas. So I think this is a mindset we need to evolve in our design process.
How can you do it as a designer? Of course, thinking about that and thinking also about humanity.
Me?
Oh. Yeah, David. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So you know, I had the position of design vision director at Orange before. So I'm pretty much, aware of what 5G technology in terms of impact can have, and for sure in terms of energy, it's a technology that needs to be, consciously used, meaning that. I guess 5G is just like fire. Fire is not moral. I mean, there's no connection with moral. You can use it to make great cooking and to heat a little bit, to get warm in your house, and nice barbecues. Or you can fire up, the house and the city on forests, So I think we need to be fully conscious about, how we will use 5G technology, not for everything for sure, not for only entertaining people for sure, but we need to use 5G where we see a benefit in terms of energy consumptions, because we will avoid many, used or not performing solution, and then thanks with 5G, we will have like a better balance. So I think impact is key in order to measure and to decide if we can use 5G technology on a specific domain, specific vertical or not. This is my idea.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's really interesting to see the society like that. Annalisa, with the UPTIS project, of course, Michelin goes a bit further, but it's really not sufficient, we could say, of course, but it's a first step. You're using the technology to avoid waste and everything, but it's the real first step. So we have to take the actions. How can we move forward a little bit faster? Do you have an idea, maybe?
Actually, it doesn't seem maybe to go faster, because 2050, our goal, it seems long. You have to keep in mind that the 4 main technologies, they have to be developed. Even if we are working on them, they've been developed. Sometimes they create other technologies that we have to study and develop. And these 4 technologies, at a certain point, they have to work together. So that's why we consider that 30 years to develop and to assemble these technologies is a time quite challenging, and that at the 2050 we can have a vision tire on your car, for example, with the main technology. But we are going quite faster. Because just for your information, UPTIS today is on tester. It's been tested in the US on a real fleet of taxi, and to know if it can support all of these plans, the life of a taxi driver, which is really very is quite strong as a life of a tire for a taxi driver. So systematically we're going to test and to check this, so it can help to develop it really faster. So we try to use this test at the natural scale.
Yeah, I can I can imagine. Thank you, Annalisa. David, when we notice the change of society, I mean, the new generation is coming very, very fast as well. Is it something interesting and realistic to think that in 25 years, 26, 40 years, we can really predict what will happen, or is it totally impossible? I mean, for the mobility, do we have to think outside the box, maybe because the new generations are coming very fast?
When we speak about the new generation, we believe that it's a generation that doesn't exist right now. But the new generation is already there. I think this is our kids. I mean, they are already there. I think it's sometimes when you speak about new generation, there's a kind of a mistake we make very easily. This means that, okay, this is for people that we don't know, or like it's next generation. Because they don't behave like us. They don't dream like us. So they need, and they are very worried about the future. So there's this kind of consciousness to have a meaningful, action. And this is something that we will have to manage in the future, beside innovation technology. How we will make something happen with them, with this urgency. And it's right now, because you know that this 2 degrees impact, like in for 2050 or perhaps plus, have a huge impact in our life. So that's why we need to act now. We need to change our mindset now. And the new generation, the next generation, is already there. When you go home, you see kids between 10 and 15 years old. The new generation is there already. So it's quite urgent. It's not like theoretical.
Yeah, it's not. But it makes life difficult, of course, for innovation, Annalisa, because we have our minds and we want to think about innovation and mobility for the future. We have to think it now, but we have our own type of thinking. So how can you cope with that at Michelin? I mean, trying to do perspective within 30 years or 40 years?
Yes, there is a specific department working on perspective, which can draw different kind of scenarios that could happen. But just to give you a concrete example, to create a vision, so always this one, we use the design thinking approach, and which is very known by designers, I think. But in Michelin, in this case, was one of the first time that we applied in the process. So actually, we started questioning people of different ages, different universe, different jobs, about sustainable mobility. What is sustainable mobility? And everyone gave his ideas. So. At the end, we had many focus groups around the world, questioned 90 people, and they could reach the vision, the concept that we wanted to create around this circular economy and sustainable mobility. So this is one of the approach that we are going to use more and more to introduce and to get the feeling of people that can have different way of thinking as the engineers that we have here.
So yes, that's a point of thing, of course, and we have to start from something. So yeah, we don't have any choice. We have another question from Edouard Vory about the vehicles. David, how do you think the future of mobility will move the use of the cars and of vehicles at the moment? At the moment, it's point A to point B. Maybe within 10 years, I think vehicles will be totally different. What do you think about that?
I can't, disclose projects. So nice try. There's 2 aspects, okay? The first one is what we can do, and the other one is what we should do. Okay, what we shouldn't do is make more SUVs. I mean, this is completely a nonsense, knowing, you know, the situation. And this is the direction where we shouldn't go, right? Now, if you make small electrical mobility, I think this is something we should definitely look at. Lightweight, electric, autonomous in terms of energy consumption. So to have like a full chain, just like probably Elon Musk is speaking about, but at a smaller and local, you know, scale. And it's not unlike only of automotive. It's a combination of the automotive, the infrastructure, and also the city mapping. You know, it's not like the urban programming. And this is how probably you will start to think about like a more resilient mobility of the future. For sure, cities need to be involved in this and to facilitate and negotiate the way people work, move, live together in the future. I'm not sure this is happening right now, but hearing about Mr. Le Foll interview, you know, earlier, I'm very hopeful. We can hope about that. About hydrogen, because we speak about a lot about hydrogen, I have some doubts because depends on how you generate this hydrogen. Because you on the chemical process, you can, you know, make a lot of dioxide of carbon on the early stage process in order to generate this hydrogen. And as soon as this is a gas, so you need a lot of equipment, which is of course the manufacturer using some materials in order to compress and to make this available as a piece of energy. So I have some doubt about the full, you know, balance about the benefit of hydrogen compared to reduce dioxide of carbon, you know, emission as an energy.
Yeah, the problem is pretty difficult to solve, of course.
Light, small, and well organized.
We'll try to think about that. But yeah, that's pretty difficult to imagine, of course, because we went
not too light because I'm a bit heavy, so.
Me too. I try to hide it, but Annalisa, at Michelin. Oh, sorry.
Concerning hydrogen,
Yeah.
I agree with David. For the moment, the process to extract hydrogen is not efficient. Today, it's more efficient to extract petrol from oil than hydrogen. But I think that all the filière is trying to really work together to arrive to extract in a really more blue or green way hydrogen, so that in a near future, we could really change the paradigm and try to give more importance, more weight to hydrogen.
Yes, okay, so we have solutions, but we don't have, of course, to go the wrong way, I would say. So that's the difficult question, of course. At Michelin, I wanted to ask you, is it a threat for you if the cars, for instance, within a few years don't have the link anymore with the road? Because it could be possible, of course, that we have several layers in order to I don't know, to move from a city to another. So is it something you think about or not really at Michelin?
At the moment, are you meaning the flying cars or something like this? Or the one with magnetic cars? We've heard this kind of prospection, this kind of ideas. For us at the moment, to stay just at the level of ideas. And as you could understand, we really are very attached to the facts. So when you set our ambition, is always proved. There is always fact that we are going to arrive. We are going to invest and put all the energy we need to arrive there. So that's why we know there is this kind of ideas, but at the moment we don't take it into account as something which is only realistic at the moment.
All right. Yes, for sure. We are really generous in our thinking sometimes. So we hope something, and yeah, naturally it doesn't happen. So when you're designing something, David, system and everything, you can take into account, as you said, it's a question from our viewers, societal aspects. Is it difficult for you to take all of that into account? Because sometimes it can pretty hinder you from developing new technologies if you think about all these societal impacts on the future.
Yes, we think a lot about it because for now, the worry about big investments, you spoke about 5G earlier. A blocking point is citizen acceptance. So for sure, you need to take into account this acceptance first. And when it's related to 5G, but also about artificial intelligence, about autonomous driving, people have not been exposed to this. So we believe that it's when we think about autonomous driving, it's not about only the driver inside that can sleep, read the newspaper, and all of that, but it's about the pietonal, people around. How the people are scared about this because the impact behind is to avoid any, autonomous driving in the cities, when public is there. So I think there's this combination of safety in order to have a machine learning and to expose the machine and the system to every situation context which is possible to fuel this machine learning, and at the same time have the right narrative in order to convey and to get people accept that the benefit of such a technology. It's not like in the past where you make something new and because it's new, then it is great. I think people are much more critical, about the progress, the innovation. Sorry, progress is nice because it makes people's life, easier. But innovation for innovation, to create, a new version that would get the previous one old, doesn't work anymore, at least for the new generation. Works for us because we were quite stupid, but the new generation is not stupid at all, and they need meaning. They need something which is compatible with the fact that they want to recover a vision about their future in a more positive way. So again, yes, I believe that the investment at the early stage to have this narrative, to tell this story, and to think about the impact and need to be positive is something that has to be done due to the responsibility of the companies.
So it's almost 3 o'clock. We'll have to close pretty soon, but I have a question regarding acceptance from people. For Michelin, it was important, of course, to continue developing the tires and the new UPTIS technology. Is it accepted or well accepted at the beginning? You told us, Annalisa, that the taxis in the US were using it. How do you rate the process and the acceptance of new products?
It's it's inside a program. It's called a placement. So we do placements. It's a normal phase of a development project. So even the normal tires are tested in this way, is to see in a natural environment, a normal environment, how it works. And so it allowed us to study and how it works. I don't know the reaction of the taxi drivers in the US, but what I can say is that we show this prototype internally, also externally to some auto show, and people were really very enthusiastic about the solution, the paid reliever that we present. They were a little bit skeptical about the design. Well, I love the design with the spoke, period spoke, so you can see through the spokes. But someone was a little bit skeptical and say, is this going to stay like this or not, or you're going to cover it? So this we're going to see how it will evolve. But it's something that is a feedback that we had of the public about this really new and disruptive proposition that we have.
Okay, thank you. So last question for David. We have Florestan asking, with the sensory design, sound, smell, anything that can be more than obviously that we know now, could be used to facilitate an understanding the technologies within cars or within new mobility designs or new mobility means. Do you think it's really important to develop such designs, including everything, not only the view design, but really the sensory things?
Yeah. Anything that in the future will make us to avoid interacting with screens, it's a good thing. So I think this natural way to interact will be, we will gain more and more maturity as soon as we remove more and more screens in the interior, okay? And this is the first thing. And I think that the senses are not equal, and you know that. When we use the visual, it's more from, to look at the context, also how people behave, to get a feeling about the motion. About the touch, it's more something that needs to reassure, and it's more like a feel, a way to interact also with elements, and which is very connected to a situation or to a perception in terms of quality, or could be from a thin interaction. Smell is very complex. I think, and smell is very difficult to manage in an interior, because this is not something you can create from scratch. This is, the smell also need to be activated on a regular basis, because then disappear very quickly. But this is very strong, because this is connected directly with the memory, with the brain. This is activate right away, a behavior. So it's very strong, but very hard to sensitize and to control and to replicate many times. And also, of course, the hearing is part of it, just like the visual. But I think it's the combination of sense need to be work all together. So for sure, in the future, we will see more and more, designers involving all these senses all together, in order to avoid the use of language, probably, in order to create this living, technology. And this is probably new disciplines, and very exciting, very complex, engaging, a lot of poetry, imaginary, and it's a living art, probably. So yeah, very exciting, and I believe, and I hope so, the involvement of such disciplines in the future.
Of course, we stay very positive about the future, and nature will be at the heart of the innovations, as we see for Michelin tires with the bio-sourced material and everything. Thank you very much for your participation. I would have loved to speak a bit more with you, but that was a nice chat and a nice round table. So if you want to stay with us for networking, because we know that people that are on the Swapcard platform could interact with you and all the speakers. So thank you very much for your time, David and Annalisa.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Annalisa. Thank you.
And of course, we continue to keep in touch and networking from 5 to 4 today, but from 3 to 4, sorry, today. But of course, we have now the mind more clear, I would say, and the innovations are part of the history now, and for Le Mans Tech is really important. So stay tuned. We are here on Swapcard's platform, so don't hesitate for tomorrow, naturally, to register and to be here from 9 o'clock tomorrow. It will be a startup pitch from XMOBILITY Day 2, the challenge, mobility and clean tech. Then we'll have the Soyuz game workshop, the city, agile city and sustainable, with Joris Godion, the co-founder of La Ville E+. Then we'll have the student battle design with Jörg Estaloche, David Carvalho, Thomas Busson, the winner from last year, and Annalisa De Simone as well for the jury. Then we'll have the day 2, the afternoon, will be opened by Antoine Charon. And of course, we'll have plenty to speak about. Battle Design Awards will be given, and then the impact from Odyssey to development with Stephanie Chumrell, Energy Observer, and then we'll have the round table with a few speakers, of course, joining us. So we'll have plenty to speak about. Please stay with us on the platform, swap card, if you want to interact and then do some networking and exchange your contact details. It can be very useful, of course. We tried, that's the first one, the digital one, so sorry for the few mishaps, but that went pretty smooth. And for day 2, tomorrow, it will be even better. So thank you very much for joining and for being with us all this afternoon. And we are happy to welcome you from 9 a.m. tomorrow, French time, for a new day here at Le Mans Tech for XMOBILITY 3rd edition, the international edition, and a digital one. Thank you very much for R2D3, our partner, Swapcard, and of course our graphic facilitator, Geoffroy Lefort, from Visual to Explain. Thank you very much, and see you tomorrow from 9 a.m. here at the same place, Swapcard, the platform here for XMOBILITY. Bye-bye.